On this Byron Lazine podcast, we have Katie Day, team leader of the Move Me to Texas team down in Houston. She's a brilliant brander. That Move Me to Texas brand is incredible. If you're trying to build a brand, this podcast is definitely for you. We talk about some real uncomfortable moments. Katie kind of sticks it to me a couple of times, and it was really funny. We have a great banter. She's a really amazing person, friend of mine, and I hope you enjoy this podcast. I know you're going to take a lot out of it. Katie Day, welcome to the podcast. This is long overdue. Really appreciate our friendship, and I want you to get into a little bit of your background. But if you don't know Katie, it's a shock because you do such a good job branding yourself that most people say, "Oh, that Real company, Katie Day's company." They just think that you started Real. So you're doing a great job branding yourself. Why don't you just give us a little bit of your background? How you got into real estate, all of that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here. So I got into real estate full time back in 2017, and I did it for a while. My husband got in June of 2017. We both kind of did our own things separately, and then
Wow, I got to hear about that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we both kind of just did our own thing, both had our own clients, were working like crazy. And then in 2018, I had the great idea of starting a team. So we decided that we would start a team, and we did that at the end of 2018, and then have continued to grow the team since then. And, added a little bit more structure than, we just hired a buyer's agent and then we called ourselves a team. So, got a little bit more structure and things like that as the years have gone on. And yeah, I mean, that's about
So
it.
you've allowed your husband on the team since 2018.
Yeah. It was a tough interview process, but he passed the test.
But you guys didn't work together for a year.
Correct.
That is so awkward to me.
Well, it was
Walk me through like being married to a competitor for a year.
I wouldn't necessarily call us, competitors. I
Well,
mean,
same
obviously,
market.
yes, we did work the same market. We still do, but I had been in it for a year, basically 6 months full time, but a year and a half totally, right? And he
Mm-hmm.
had been in it for, he had just got in. So I had enough business that I would, give him referrals. We have different last names. So I'd be like, oh, my colleague Ryan Steer, and give people over to him. And, but we did work all of our own clients. We didn't really do a ton together. There's some married couples out there that like drive to appointments together and like spend the entire day together, and that's just not in the cards for us.
Yeah, I mean, we've been friends for a while, and I didn't even know that your husband was on your team. So that's, I guess, how much I'm not paying attention. You're right. There's a lot of married couples, partners out there, and it's a different dynamic because like when they get a coach, when a married couple gets a coach, there's a lot of things the coach just can't help them with because they're married, right? Like they're not a marriage counselor, they're a real estate coach. And if there's going to be a disagreement in the business, I mean, that's going to go home with them and they're going to have different conversations than maybe they have with their coach. Some people have a really open experience with their coach. What is it like? It doesn't sound like you guys are together all the time. What is it like working with your husband?
So yeah, I mean, we're definitely not together all the time, and I think that makes it a little bit easier. We definitely do have differing opinions on things. So our first coach that we had, definitely we had a lot of kind of, I wouldn't say disagreements, but we didn't always see eye to eye. So it was nice having a coach to be like, okay, hey, Ryan's right in this situation, or Katie's right, or hey, we can kind of meet in the middle somewhere. Because as you know me, I tend to sometimes dig my heels in on things, as does he. So it was always helpful. But I mean, for the most part, again, we're not working together all day long. And we've now kind of determined like specific rules. So I think it works.
I
Time will
look
only
at,
tell, but we've been doing it for a while.
yeah, I look at marriage as a business partnership, as
Yeah.
a business agreement. Do you look at it that way?
I think there are a lot of parallels, yeah.
So you guys have your marriage partnership, your marriage, as I call it, business agreement, which that freaks people out when I say it. I'm not a believer in true love. So I think it's a business partnership, a business agreement marriage. You guys have your real business agreement and in your marriage agreement. Those are two different agreements. Who's in charge of the household? Who's in charge of the business? Who has somebody, only one person can have final say, or it's doomed for failure in both scenarios. So who's got final say in each?
I would say as far as the business, at the end of the day, it is my team. So I would have final say there.
Your
I
name is on
think
the door.
it is. I think as far as, household, I know this is super cliche, but I mean, we do have our set things that we do and we're responsible for.
Yep.
And we've been clear with that even since we like moved in together when we were dating, right? So I think that I think that it's
So
a
you guys have
mixed.
divided. Hey, you're in charge of this. I'm
Yeah.
in charge of that, and there's somebody that's in charge. Final say. I've had 50-50 partnerships that have failed because of the fact that we went into them never figuring out who was going to have final decision for what. It was like, we're going to work this whole thing together all the time. And once you come up to a disagreement and you're at a stalemate, you get nothing done.
Yeah.
This, Katie, this makes a lot of people uncomfortable what I'm saying right now, because people, like, when I put this kind of stuff, and I'm just starting to like talk about it more on Instagram. When I put
Yeah.
this kind of stuff out there, people, like, some people get really heated, like, about, because their situation might be different. And everybody's got to do what works for them in their marriage. I'm a big believer in clarity on having communication around who does what, when, what the expectations are. And then if that agreement no longer works, well, it's time to renegotiate the agreement, right? Let's renegotiate and see if we can come to terms. If we can't come to terms, you know what that means. But it makes a lot of people uncomfortable because they've got in my opinion, they've got a fairy tale ending in their head, and they want it to play out like the movies.
Yeah. Speaking of, did you get a lot of comments on your diaper changing TikTok and Instagram?
I like how you just push that one to the side. And yeah, I got a lot of comments for that. If you didn't see that post, I made a post on Instagram that said, I forget what the hook was, but basically, I've got a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I've never changed a diaper. Here's the thing, though, Katie, and I can dig in a little bit deeper since you brought it up. You wanted to bring the uncomfort off of you and onto me here, so that's fine.
Okay, yeah, thank you for
Uh,
calling me out on that. Very much
yeah,
appreciated.
yeah. So here's the deal. My wife and I had discussions for probably 2 years before we had our first child of what it would look like. And I resisted children. So to be fair, I was resisting children from the start. But when you're negotiating your partnership, your business partnership, your marriage, as the government likes to call it, then there's got to be concessions. If you're going to come to a great deal, there's going to have to be concessions. And I wanted to have kids because she wanted to have them, and we made the decision to start a family together. There were things that I had as a non-starter, that being one of them, and it's more of a analogy towards the bigger picture. Okay, I don't change diapers, but I am focused on building the businesses that are going to set up the goals that are the top of my wife's vision board, our vision board together, for the next 20 years. Our life is not to live solely for our children, it's to create a great life for us, for what we want. And so my sole responsibility is we went old school, divide and conquer. It's just what we chose to do, is to make sure that everything outside of the house is working, make sure that the money is coming in to the household, and make sure that these businesses continue to grow. And my wife has a certain, number that she needs to support our children, to make all the hard decisions, do all the real hard work, which is raising the kids. And as long as I hold up my end of the bargain on that financial commitment to allow us to give our children and our household the things that we want to give it, then I can continue to do things like not change diapers, travel all over the place. Like, we're always at events together and whatnot. But the minute I don't hold up that end of the bargain, then yeah, I'm changing diapers. I'm probably carpooling. I'm probably pitching in because that means she's got to go back to work, right? And so those were the decisions we made. They don't work for everybody. And there were some people in the comments that really were offended, people that we knew that knew of this, but that I would publicly say it. And my wife, I got to tell you, she's just laughing the whole time because we have crystal clear communication around this and it works for us, right? So if it's a deal that's working, we're going to keep investing in it.
Yeah, it's not like it was a surprise to her that you hadn't done this in the past 5 years.
No, no, no. It was no surprise.
Yeah,
And, obviously she's got help. We've got a nanny and these kind of things, but we're lucky enough to do that because we're putting in the work. I always
yeah,
say her job's harder than mine because she's 24/7.
yeah.
I get to sleep basically. And I mean, it's not always easy. That our 1-year-old wakes up all the time still to this day, but she's got it way harder than I do. What I'm doing is, you may deal with somebody unhappy, an employee or something like that. That's a lot easier than a crying, screaming kid.
Generally, yeah.
Generally, it could get a little worse, but yeah. So I got a little heat. What was your did that come off as douchey? How did it come off to you?
No, I was just surprised. I was like, "Man, what a deal." Like, to go that long without changing a diaper. I was more
Yeah.
impressed than anything.
Well, I also the hidden story is I have a gag reflex. My mom made me pooper scoop for our dog when I was a kid for like
Yeah,
allowance money. And I was like dry heaving out there in the yard. So I came
yeah.
in, I said, I quit. I don't need the Nintendo game or whatever I was trying to get. I said, keep that, mom. I'm done. I'll never do this again. And I've been haunted thanks to my mom for life.
That concerns me because my husband doesn't enjoy picking up after Noodle, so, you know,
Noodle is your poodle?
Noodle is yeah,
Is it a
the
poodle?
she's a doodle,
A
golden
doodle.
doodle.
Noodle the doodle. What's a doodle in comparison to a poodle? I'm not a dog guy, Katie, so that's another
I
thing people
know.
hate on me on. You know this, but
That's honestly more douchey to me than the diaper thing. Like, if we're gonna lay it all out there and, kind of my thoughts on you, I had a lot of respect for you, and then when we hung out in person for a couple days in Dallas, it just I it
how on a scale from like 0% to 100%, how much did you respect me before you found out I wasn't a dog guy?
before probably like 87.
An 87,
Yeah.
solid, a B plus,
Yeah.
B plus B, and then after
Probably like 8% maybe?
an 8. I went from
Yeah.
87 to 8, or I lost 8%.
No, no, like down to 8.
Wow, so you're a serious dog lover.
Well, I mean, just like kind of my dog, except for the fact that she just broke into my office with the door closed and is looking out the window. I'm like ready to mute in case she starts barking. But so she's golden retriever and poodle mix is what that is. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything against dogs. I'm just way bigger on human beings than I am any animal.
Yeah.
So there's not a particular animal that I like more than the others. But all right, Katie. I mean, you're. I want to get into your branding. Enough about me. You totally flipped this thing. That's like a Tim Macy move right there.
I'm sorry.
I
Never
want to get into your.
I don't like being associated with Tim, so I'm very sorry for that.
Well, people think you started real. They don't think Tim Macy started real, even though I think he did. End up there before you. Those listening don't know what real is. I mean, I don't know if you do you get offended when people say the analogy like it's the spin-off EXP. I mean, maybe that would be a little not the
Um
right way to say it, but
I mean, obviously the business models have similarities, so,
yeah,
comparisons are made. I don't know if spin-off is the word I would use, but,
it's like a Kardashian spin-off show.
okay, yeah, I appreciate you using that analogy. Thank you for that. Yeah.
It's a little more real motivation out there. No, reels actually growing like wildfire. I'm really impressed. Ryan Pineda, who's going to be on the pod here coming up, he just joined Reel Las Vegas.
Yep.
He's got a ton of followers. I think 1 million on TikTok and a whole bunch of YouTube and all that. So that's a big name for the brand. but you do such a good job of personally branding that people think that that is your brokerage. What's your secret sauce for your personal branding that other agents could emulate?
I mean, I just always have it on, so I think that that makes things a little bit easier. If you are associating my team name and logo with my face, then, you're seeing it all the time. No, but all joking aside, I mean, I think that when we started the team and when I kind of started in real estate, first I wanted to find something that I could have a brand on all platforms, right? So, I was looking at Houston and Texas and moving and houses and just different things. And I finally found came across Move Me to Texas, and I could, buy the
Brilliant.
URL, which would
Brilliant.
then give me my email domain name. It was available on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the things. So I was like, I don't know if I'm going to go on all these platforms, but let me at least, reserve the usernames. And that was kind of that. And then when we started the team, a lot of people do, the Katie Day team or whatever and use their name. I didn't really want to do that. So I just
Same.
figured stay with the same branding since I had already, been using it for the past year or so.
Yeah.
So just kind of rolled it into the team name. And then I didn't have to rebrand, in starting a team.
It's, I don't know if you even consider this when you did it, but it's much more saleable in the future. If you ever wanted to exit your business, the Katie Day business is, the business is the same, but the Katie Day business then requires your brand to remain, where Move Me to Texas could literally be sold to anyone. And if you wanted to truly exit, it's a lot cleaner of an exit. What are your thoughts though on companies at Real or EXP actually being able to sell their business in the future because of the dynamics of everybody on the team having, their rev share, their downline, a lot of that they're waiting for it to actually hit their accounts. Do you believe companies at Real or EXP have to be in it forever, or do they actually have a saleable business?
I mean, I think that obviously with other streams of income, it makes it a little bit more feasible, with a real or an EXP business model. But I mean, I think anyone that's running their business like a business at any brokerage, whether it's newer and kind of tech or cloud based or, a little more old school with brick and mortar and things like that, the possibility is there. So, I mean, it's always something we've thought about as we've, continued to grow and scale. But I definitely think having other streams of income, if you're going to be in the real estate realm, definitely makes it easier, if you kind of want to stay within the umbrella of real estate, but no longer want to buy and sell homes.
Yeah, yeah, definitely makes it easier to stay. But do you believe it makes it harder for you as the business owner to actually sell, knowing that your team has their downline, has their rev share,
Um, hmm.
or haven't thought about it?
I haven't really thought about that.
I've thought about it. I've brought
Yeah.
it up to Tim Macy a few times.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, at least for our model, anyone that's collecting rev share still has to sell some homes every year.
Of course.
So I think that probably throws a little bit of wrench into things. But it may just change the structure of, your team and your business and stuff like that. So I haven't really thought about that. That's definitely an interesting kind of
I'll
concept
keep you
question.
I'll keep you on your toes.
I know. Thank you.
What's the most exciting part of Real right now? I mean, you guys are blowing up. What's most exciting to you about Real?
Yeah, one of the things that I'm really excited about, as you kind of said, is the growth. What I wasn't really expecting in coming over was also kind of the collaboration. So it's been really cool to meet a lot of people across the country. Some of them I only knew online. Some of them I had never even met, until I came to Real and was.
And you and Tim Macy have done such a great job of cultivating that culture.
I mean, we're definitely trying to, right? And that's where I think that everyone has that same mindset, though, which is really cool. And that's something that I wasn't sure, would exist with kind of a virtual company. One and two, I didn't know a lot of people outside of kind of my immediate group, right, of friends that were here or were coming over or things like that. So it's been really cool to kind of see how willing everyone is to help, no matter, where you are in the country or who, your upline is or whatever. Like, it just, that's been, as you know me and my personality, that was something that was a surprise, as far as an added benefit of being here.
Is it weird to say real? I'm at real. Is that a weird word to say? Or do you say real brokerage?
Um, I say both. It just kind of depends. There's a brokerage here in Houston called Realm. So
Oh,
sometimes I'll say, and then there's a real property management. It's like real
oh
property
boy.
management is a thing. So sometimes if I'm calling, I'll either just say the Move Me to Texas team, or I'll say, hey, this is Katie Day with Real Broker, just to ensure that they understand what I'm saying.
It's real broker, not real brokerage.
It depends on
Is,
the state, but we're
oh, it
Real
depends on the
Broker
state.
LLC here.
In Texas. Cool.
Yeah.
Who's the broker? It's
His
not you,
name's
is it?
It's not. No, I don't even have my broker's license. I'm slacking, but
Are you going to get it?
I've applied for it.
Did you fail?
Um, I haven't taken the test. I've just applied. I
Okay.
haven't
All right.
gone yet. I'll let you know if I fail though, so that you can put it out on, like national, out to the
I'll,
world.
I'll break the story.
The story that no one reads. You're like, man, no one opened that because no one
Nobody,
cares.
nobody cares that Katie failed her
Um,
broker's test. What's the deal with the CEO of Real Broker?
Tamir,
Yeah.
he's our CEO. No,
But I
he's
mean, you're gonna give me a PR answer, or what do you like, don't like about him?
No, so this may be something that a lot of people don't know. I actually was with Real back in 2016 when I was a
Wow, I didn't even
part-time
know.
agent. So we
I
were
didn't even know they
founded
were
in
around
20
then.
Yeah, we were founded in 2014, but I was here
Oh
in
wow,
2016. Texas was one of the first states that we opened. And it was just high splits, no fees or anything. So I joined as a new agent, like, oh, hey, like I'm gonna make a ton of money.
yeah,
I was part-time, so, I mean, I think we all know how that goes, but, um, so I, kind of new to Mir, obviously didn't meet in person or anything, but, like, when I left, I remember him calling me and being like, "Why are you leaving? Like, what's the driving factor? Like, what can we do to keep you?" And, like, we stayed in touch between, like, 2017 to when I came back.
wow.
Um, so, I
He's
have a
been at
lot of
it for a
respect.
while.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And
I didn't
prior to
realize it was
that,
2014.
yeah, 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 yeah. Prior to that, he did, like, construction and, like, multifamily and development and stuff like that. But, no, I have a ton of respect for him. I think that, when you talk to him, I think every leader and every, CEO and manager and founder is like, "Oh, yeah, like, we're doing this for the agents, and, we
Yeah,
really wanna create a great company." I mean, and some of them don't even say that, but a lot of people, say that, and when
it's like
you
blah blah blah.
yeah. Yeah, but, like, when you have a conversation with him, um, you know, he you can tell that he truly feels that way, and can just it's pretty cool. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's
Well, he's
interesting to see how far the company's come.
yeah, he's doing it right now. Big thanks to you and everybody that you've brought on, and obviously your connection with Tim. You guys are spearheading the whole thing. So, in my opinion, obviously the Pineda news is big news. So that's good. You mentioned something about being there part time back in 17 when you started, but you mentioned they had the high splits, and you thought you were gonna make a bunch of money. What's the biggest mistake you made thinking you could do real estate part time?
I I think that that's it, right? Is thinking that I could do it
Yeah,
part-time.
that's exactly it.
I got into it and then I had like a contract job, so I was doing, some real estate on the weekends and evenings and things like that, but, in order to fully immerse yourself and be dedicated, you have to be honestly, I think you have to be full-time. Otherwise, you're working
Right.
2 full-time jobs. So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't a priority, and then when that end of the year came between 2016 and 2017, I was like, I think I need to do this full time and go all in and, figure it out.
My take, which obviously we talked about it earlier in the pod, can sometimes my takes can be a little triggering. My take is part-time real estate agents, not part-time licensees, because you may hold a license to flip or you may hold a license to invest, or there's a number of reasons people would get a real estate license. But when I say real estate agent, that's somebody that's actually assisting buyers, sellers, and investors place their money with a property, sell their property, market their property. My opinion is part-time real estate agents are disrespecting consumers and are what's wrong with the industry. Do you take it that far, or do you feel like there's a place for part-timers as real estate agents?
I think that there are a lot of people that started out part-time, went full-time, and have become very successful. But they're definitely not the majority. They're a very small minority of agents. So, I don't
Well,
I,
and Katie, here's the thing, right? You can be a full-time agent and have another job. I actually believe that. So there's the wrinkle there where you could work nights and also work full. You could work a 40-hour night shift. You could work full-time real estate, answer all your calls, answer all your emails. You're only going to be sleeping like 5 hours a day, and at some point make the switch. But there are people that need less sleep, so I believe you can do that. But you have to work the business full-time hours to actually be valuable to the consumers, and everything's about consumers.
well, and I would say that those people that are actually putting in the full-time work are the minority of part-time agents,
Yes,
in my opinion. So,
I agree with you. I
I
agree.
think
I
we
agree
agree. I
100%.
just use less opinionated words.
But tell me about how do you feel about that when I use opinionated words?
No, I mean, it's all good. I would just say, like, I don't know. I'm more like just try to fly slightly more under the radar, I guess, but I don't disagree with what you're saying.
Are you? I feel like you're taking a lot of shots at me here today, Katie. Are you? This Monday morning pod not a good time for you?
No, I think it's a great time. I apologize, Byron.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking with you,
I thought
Katie.
you had thicker
It's all
skin,
good.
but
No, I do. But I just thought, knowing now that I went from an 87 to an 8 on the respect level for you, I guess
yeah.
I shouldn't be surprised. I
Well, and
didn't
that's
know
I
that
mean,
before.
if you were a dog person, I probably would be more respectful, but after I found that out, it was just really it cut deep. So,
Jeremy Knight, he put up a story on Instagram the other day, and he had a T-shirt with like a dog.
oh,
I don't
his
know if it's a
dog
cartoon or
t-shirt and
whatever
the
it was.
sunglasses.
Anyways, yeah, that's exactly what it was. And he he writes on there, "This one's for you," and tags me. And I DM him back. I'm like, Jeremy, are you trying to get me canceled here? What are you doing to me? Come on, man. I thought we were boys.
That's amazing.
No, it's not amazing. I'll get him back for that. I actually have I have an interesting picture of him late when we were all hanging out in Dallas. So maybe I'll just post that one day randomly on him. You
I
know,
included a picture of him while Jason was talking with his head down on the desk in my reel recapping that mastermind. And I actually didn't even realize I was just looking at Jason. I didn't see Jeremy in the background. So Jeremy was actually pretty mad at me. He's like, "Why'd you post that picture?"
what a great mastermind that was. You're amazing in a mastermind and like keeping masterminds going and connecting people. Like, what do you get from getting inside of a room like that? Dallas mastermind was 20 to 25 people who, are really growing their social and into marketing. What do you get from spending like 2 days with people like that?
No, it was awesome because I think that everyone in that room did we all do different things in
Yeah,
media and social
100%.
media and branding and marketing. So it was cool for everyone to kind of come together and, kind of state their case as to why what they're doing works for them. And I think that we all understood that like we're not going to come away from that meeting being like, "Oh, well now I need to do all things." But I mean, I think both of us have definitely gone in on short form video and increased the amount of, content that's being put out. Um and yeah, I mean, I think that it's cool seeing kind of everyone increase their content and change their content and increase the quality and stuff like that. So, that's what I love about masterminds, and I think that was an awesome room to be in.
It is. There's another one coming up, right?
Yeah.
You going
I'm gonna pop up for the day, yeah, but I've got an
for the
event that
day?
weekend, so
That's right. And so
yeah.
I guess we will let you plug that because I brought that up so you could lead
Yeah.
right
I
into
mean, if
your
anyone's still even
Houston.
even listening at this point, but,
Oh yeah. I mean,
um,
well, they're definitely they're listening because they want to see if you're going to take another shot at me. So they're
ah,
they're definitely they're definitely listening.
okay, yeah, I'll work on that. I'll add some more in, but, yeah, it's the real estate video blueprint we're hosting on April 22nd and 23rd, and basically gonna go, like, all in on really tactical, and I hate that word, but tactical, things for both short form and long form for TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and really just, then from there, building out more of a media company than just, a real estate agent posting reels and TikToks type thing. So,
What do you
yeah,
mean by that? A lot of people say that build a media company instead of the real estate business. How do you define that?
I mean, I think it's similar to, what you're doing, what Ken Posick's doing. I mean, Ken's started the Orlando Reel where they're breaking news in Orlando. And they're not just focused on like, oh, hey, let me tell you the best neighborhoods to live in. They're like, hey, if you live here, this is what you can expect. And just I think it's that next level or that next step from, realtor to, community expert and news person of some sort.
Yeah, and having the attention in the community focused on you and your team. What's the team up to right now? How many agents you got? What's your structure?
Yeah, so we've got 10 total agents. That's including my husband and I. And then we've got a videographer and two admin.
Love it. Love it. What's the plan for this year? What are you guys going to do?
As far as our production, we're looking to do around 400 sides this year. So last
Nice.
year we did,
That's really good with 10.
well, we're also going to try to scale to 25.
Yes. Okay,
But I mean,
great.
as like you bring on an agent, they're not going to sell a home today. So 25 by the end
Yeah.
of the year, 400 total sides. Um, and yeah, just continue to grow the team.
Well, it sounds like you have high producing agents. What's your hack for getting high productive agents around you?
Micromanagement? No. It feels like it
I'm a,
sometimes, probably for
I'm
them
a,
and
I'm
for
a
us.
believer.
No, I mean, we definitely are a high accountability team. But maybe not to the extent of, like a Phil Gertis, or I know y'all's team is pretty high accountability, but I mean, we do have a daily huddle in the mornings. We have a weekly team meeting. We do two different role play sessions each week. So we kind of mix the old school, like we're going to practice scripts and, read through those and objection handling, but also, post a lot on social media and do reels and have content days and stuff like that. So, um, that's kind of that side of it. And then, as far as lead flow, a lot of our leads that are coming in are from social, from YouTube and Instagram and agent to agent referrals and things that, I feel are kind of higher intent, lower funnel leads. So, I think that it's somewhat easier to convert. But I mean, we're still practicing, all the scripts and stuff like that as well.
Are you guys in the city of Houston or the suburbs?
Yes and yes. So,
Both.
I live just outside of downtown, but we've got 8 other agents, right? And they live all the way from downtown up to Cypress, Hockley, which is like northwest Houston suburbs, down to Missouri City, which is down in Fort Bend County, southwest. And as we continue to add agents, I'm looking to add them in the suburbs as well as in the city because I mean, we service basically 45 ish minutes to an hour outside of the city.
Great.
So, having people in kind of all of the quadrants of suburbs will, continue to be helpful as we grow and scale.
Houston, obviously one of the fastest growing cities, and you hear things about you hear climate change is impacting Houston, all this stuff. The other thing you hear a lot about Houston is the real estate market is contingent on the oil business. Is that true or false right now?
So we definitely have a lot of energy here in oil and gas. When the price of a barrel, when oil is up, things are definitely better than when it's down. But I mean,
So
we've
you're
we've
loving life
seen
right now.
Well, and that's what's so weird, right? Is that like interest rates go up, but then oil also has, and obviously prices everywhere have increased. So it's just kind of interesting, and we'll see, as the year progresses, kind of what happens here, with home prices. So home prices do have some correlation to oil. I mean, not that like it goes down and then home prices crash or anything like that, but obviously the amount of people that are moving it in for energy type jobs and things like that is higher when oil's doing well. But I mean, we've got a lot of other industries. We have the world's largest medical center here in Houston. We have the port, so we have a lot of like import export stuff. Some tech is starting to trickle over from Austin and obviously California and things like that. So it's not like 99% of jobs are in the oil and gas and energy field. There's a lot more diverse of an economy than the 80s.
So the future of Houston, you believe Houston could, you know, turn into something else if we shift away from gas and oil. It could become, another economy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot that's already happening, but if things continue to trend in that direction, I there our economy would have no choice but to pivot, right? I mean, yeah.
You you look at like New Yorkers; they're so passionate about their city, about their state. There's other cities you can name. Houston. I don't know if I get the same feeling. Maybe it's just based off of sports, but is it just too transient? Are people passionate about living in Houston, Texas?
I think Texans are very passionate about being Texans. I mean, I've only been here for, I guess, now more than 10 years, but so I moved here in 2011. But I think, I mean, Astros fans are very diehard fans if they're
Yeah,
if they're a fan, right?
I mean they'll cheat if they have to, of course.
I mean, a win's a win in
Hey,
my book. I'm just
can't
kidding.
erase it from the books.
I'm not even really a baseball fan at all. So
No, neither am I.
but no, I mean, I think that there's definitely a lot of pride, Houston pride and Texas pride. But I mean, we do have a very transient population. It's like kind of a joke. If we're doing a consult with someone, I'm like, oh, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? And they're like, oh, I'm from Houston. I'm like, oh, that's rare. You never find anyone that's, born and raised here. And then we both laugh and then, continue on with the conversation. But
What are the
um,
three biggest feeder markets to Houston?
so right now, inside Texas, there's a lot of movement, right? So like Austin and Dallas to Houston and back and forth.
Okay.
And then California and Illinois. I was like, what's that state? It's not Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah, yeah. They do have a state. Yeah. A lot of California people. I mean, the comments anytime I put up a California clip, they light up. So, I mean, do you wanna rip Californians or something so I can get an extra uh bunch of views on Instagram or do you not want to rip them?
I mean, so here's the thing is like, I think, the don't California my Texas is something that's said a lot. A lot of people are leaving California due to the, policies that have occurred over the past 2 years. But all of the clients that I've helped move from LA or the Bay Area to Texas have all been really excited to move here, right?
Yeah.
They're not like, oh man, I hate Texas and I want to come be super liberal in Texas or anything like that. I think that's also a little bit of a stereotype, but all of our
Yes, it
clients that have
is.
moved here have been really cool and like really excited to move because Houston, what a lot of people don't know is like Houston is super diverse. I think we speak the most amount of languages than any other city in
Wow.
Houston. And like you can like go to the park or the grocery store, and I can almost guarantee you're going to hear like multiple languages being spoke around you, and you're like, "What is happening? Like this is crazy." We've got a ton of diverse food and stuff like that. So I mean, I think people think old school Western movie when they think of Texas, but Houston couldn't be anything further from that in my book.
But you are seeing a lot of Californians.
We are, yes.
Yeah. I mean, people have overblown that because if you look at the numbers, I mean, well, overblown it and not. It is number one for, most outbound,
Moves, yeah.
migration, and it is 1% of the population. But, California is still the fifth largest economy in the world. It's still got a whole bunch of advantages, the weather being one of them. It's just so damn expensive. I mean, that's it's one of the hardest parts about living in California.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like a lot of the clients that we have, we're selling, two-bedroom condos or very small homes, right? And it's
Mhm.
like them and 2 kids, or, a couple and 2 kids, or and then they're moving here, and for 4 or 5, 600K, they can buy, a 4 or 5 bedroom house in a nice suburb with good schools. And they're like, we were living in a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, pulling our hair out with our children and, on top of us all day, every day, especially over the past 2 years. And then they move here and have these like massive 2-story homes with a yard or a pool. And, your money just goes a lot further in Texas than California.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So if I don't see you at the mastermind in April in Dallas, I'm gonna see you in August, right? You're gonna go to the Tom Ferry Summit in August?
I will be at the Tom Ferry Summit in August. Yes.
What's the drive from, Houston to Dallas?
I fly, but
You
it's
fly?
about
Okay.
4 hours. It's like a
Yeah,
45-minute
so I'd fly
flight,
that.
and JSX now flies, so it's like, you walk in minutes before the flight, hop on a plane, and, it's great.
Good. So I'll definitely see you there, and then hopefully I can work my grade up from single digits back into the double digits,
We'll see.
my
I
respect
don't
level.
wanna I don't wanna put out any false promises, like, I'm normally a pretty straightforward person, so I don't wanna say that that will definitely happen, but, we can definitely work on it. I'm open to it.
I'm surprised you even did this podcast with me being at an 8 out of 100 on the respectability scale.
Yeah. Well, I didn't realize I had accepted.
All right, well, I'll send you the check, and, if you don't know the Katie Day brand, I'm shocked, but make sure you go and get hooked up with all of her stuff. Move me to Texas. That's brilliant. If you're starting a team, I would definitely do it the way Katie's done it, where you build the brand around something like that. Move me to Texas, maybe your location, something outside of your first and last name. In the future, if you ever want to exit, it's going to be a lot more saleable. So if you are thinking about starting a team or a brand, I'd be doing it the Katie Day way. And hopefully that got me into like the 10 percentile here. All right, Katie, I really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.